What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Sean, and today we're talking about something that's a little controversial, but it's something that is really important to me, which is the automotive aftermarket community. So recently there has been a hot topic concerning the Recognizing the Protection of Motorsports Act, or the RPM Act. So in this video, I want to try and show both sides of the argument, but being a car enthusiast, obviously I'm going to be a little bit biased. Now I'm going to be looking at two different posts, one from SEMA directly on their website, and the other is a blog post from the Union of Concerned Scientists, which from the name of that organization kind of gives you some insight into how they feel about the car modification industry. So first of all, let's jump into the post that SEMA has made regarding the RPM Act. So here we have the post directly from SEMA on their website. I'll put a link down in the description if you guys want to see the whole thing. Protect your right to race. The EPA is banning race cars. Basically tell Congress about it. There's a link that you can choose from this website to essentially send an email to your congressman or congresswoman. So street vehicles, cars, trucks, and motorcycles cannot be converted into race cars according to the EPA, which is the part of the Clean Air Act. The EPA has announced that enforcement against high-performance parts, including superchargers, tunes, and exhaust systems, is a top priority. So they're saying that the EPA is trying to eliminate the sale and the installation and the use of these aftermarket parts, such as, superchargers, turbos, exhausts, aftermarket tunes, and all this kinds of stuff specifically for clean air, right? Even if you're one of the hundreds of thousands of enthusiasts who contacted Congress in the past, we need your support again. So this first came up in 2015 when the EPA kind of came after SEMA as a part of the Clean Air Act. For a little bit of background, the Clean Air Act has been in effect for the last 50 years or so. And so back in 2015, the EPA came after SEMA directly for the, basically encouraging the sale and the basically aftermarket community or industry and, companies making money off of producing these parts. And so you'll see in the other report from the other organization that they paint SEMA and they paint the automotive community in this very negative light, as if they're just a bunch of money-hungry capitalist industrialists who only do this for the sake of making money, and they would just as soon rather see the world burn, which is absolutely not true. So, obviously they're saying we want to protect our industry, our hobby, our passion, and we don't want you to take that away from us. So from here, I'm going to jump into the other article or the other post from the Union of Concerned Scientists. So throughout this article, that it essentially is trying to say, again, that the automotive industry or the automotive aftermarket industry is only in it for profit. It doesn't care about the environment whatsoever. And so as you can see from the header, the RPM Act, how a multi-billion-dollar industry is trying to ruin our air. So before I kind of get into this, when you're looking at the total, what's causing, climate change, what's causing temperature rising, crazy temperature fluctuations, increased numbers of hurricanes, and all this kinds of stuff, the one thing that you want to go after is the small niche market of automotive modification. I personally work for one of the largest manufacturers in the world. I'm an engineer. I work at a manufacturing facility. I can tell you for a fact that the automotive community is not causing a substantial amount of, it's a fraction of a percent when it comes to the total amount of pollution that's, contributing to climate change. So let's keep going with this. What the RPM Act does, for supporters of the RPM Act, the Clean Air Act is just too good at its job. So there's a lot of sarcasm here. So it's not like an official, government-run organization. This is a blog from an independent organization. The Clean Air Act states quite clearly that it is prohibited, quote, for any person to manufacture or sell or offer to sell, install any part or component intended for use, blah, 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 where a principal effect of the part or component is to bypass, defeat, or render inoperative any emissions control device. So we're talking about cat deletes, catless headers, long tube headers, things of that nature. So what they're mostly concerned about is the emissions part of it. And then obviously they have a diesel truck rolling coal and equating it to Dieselgate. So if you guys want to learn a little bit about the Volkswagen Dieselgate, feel free to do some research on that. Basically, Volkswagen was saying that their diesel cars were much more efficient than they actually were. You can do your own research on really the specifics of it, but that's the nitty-gritty. The RPM Act creates a loophole centered on the usage of a motor vehicle, which gives cover to anyone who manufactures, sells, or installs a defeat device. So basically the RPM Act is saying, hey, all the companies that make the parts for the aftermarket community, these, exhaust companies, turbo companies, whatever, they essentially want to shut down the industry, more or less, before the Clean Air Act. Why the RPM Act keeps coming back. As with most tiny obscure bills like this, the reason why the RPM Act keeps on being introduced year after year is money. It's not for our love or passion for the automotive community. It's because those greedy capitalist industrialists just gotta have their money. It's so incredibly out of touch that it's honestly ridiculous. So the Specialty Equipment Market Association, SEMA, is the trade association for the aftermarket equipment manufacturers, including the companies manufacturing defeat devices, and they have been fighting with the APA for the exemption for at least 5 years. So yeah, back in 2015 was kind of when it first came up. SEMA is not interested in air quality or public health, or whether the RPM Act resists or restricts EPA's ability to do its job. SEMA is simply interested in making it easier for its members to make money. It's so, this just doesn't make much sense at all. How do we know this? Because the RPM Act is not designed to solve the problem that SEMA claims exists. So if you guys want to read more details on this, I'll put the link for this in the description as well. But basically the majority of this article is essentially saying, here's why SEMA is bad. Here's why SEMA is evil. All they want to do is make money. They don't care about the environment. And really, if you do care about the environment, this is not the main thing that you need to be attacking. There are much bigger fish in the sea when it comes to overall environmental emissions. So that's just kind of a summary there. If you guys want to support the car community and the millions of us across the country that love to modify and enjoy our cars, I will leave a link down in the description where you can contact your senators and let them know that we do support the RPM Act so that we can keep the hobby that fills our hearts and empties our wallets. If you learned something from this video, please do drop it a like. If you want to see more from me, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new, and we'll see you guys on the next one.